Welcome to Beer and Ain't Easy, episode number 30 with Adam and Drew.
The Dirty 30.
The Dirty 30.
I feel like as you get older, which is a great topic for today's episode, you try to come up with things that sound like somewhat cool when you hit different age ranges. So when you hit 30, you're like, that's the Dirty 30. And like 40, you're like, oh yeah, it's the fabulous 40s or something. You're just getting old, motherfucker.
So the Dirty 30 doesn't remind me of the age at all. It reminds me of college.
How so?
The 30 packs of
I gotcha.
Those dirty beers.
I feel like we use Dirty 30 as a way to like make ourselves feel better about leaving the 20s and going into the 30s. Oh yeah, the Dirty 30s. But then you just realize kids come along and then all the fun just starts evaporating away.
Yep. Alright, so I'm going to switch things up a little bit today. I am empty, so we're going to have to introduce the beer right away so I can crack my beer.
Heck yeah.
Alright, I'll crack it, you tell them about it.
Alright, so today we're back to Houston and we are drinking a Great Heights Brewing Company beer. This is the Blue Tile IPA. So since the last episode, I've had a newborn and getting a little less sleep than normal. But this was our first outing with the newborn out. We got to go check out Great Heights Brewing, got a flight, got to check out Brashland.
So did you take the baby to the brewery?
Oh yeah. 2 older kids were in school, baby went to the brewery and got a flight. So that's not something I would have done.
Did Meredith come with you?
I did, yeah, of course.
But that's like dad duty. It's like, come on, baby.
Yeah, it's like, come on, strap up. We're going to DQ. We're going to the brewery. You better hold your liquor. All right, no. That's something that probably wouldn't have done with the first kid, but the third kid, it's fair game.
It's a whole new game with the third kid. I find myself saying that literally every day with the third kid. Like, we surely wouldn't have done this with the first 2, but here we are.
Yeah.
So, one other thing has changed since our last episode was recorded, and that is I took a month off of drinking beer or any alcohol.
Borderline insanity.
It was the first time I've done that, probably since the first sip of alcohol I've ever taken.
Nice.
Have you ever taken a month off, like since you first started drinking?
I think so, and I think that like is a great segue in our episode today when we talk a little later, is that with our first kid, like I feel like I went months, maybe like had a beer or 2 there, but like really just out of the beer game for like a long swath of time. So more to come on that topic.
Interesting.
So I feel like that's the closest thing I've gone to like a dry period of time.
Huh. I don't think I did that with the first, but it was all a blur, so I don't remember.
Yeah, it's hard to say though because I was drinking a whole lot before the kid was born, so it may be that I just went to normal after that and just felt like I wasn't drinking anymore.
Yeah. So it was a very interesting experience for me. The one question I had is how bad would I crave beer throughout the whole time? And so like one thing I thought was interesting, like the first Thursday into it was when I craved beer the most. So like as I went longer without beer, I started to crave it less.
That's interesting. I think we predicted that may have been the case, but it's interesting to hear you say that. So if you're trying to take a little time off, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Hang in there. Hang in there. Yeah.
I remember thinking that I could get a lot less sleep and function way better when I was younger. Now I'm just like this cranky old guy if I get less than 6 hours of sleep. So it's kind of a balancing act. You get more sleep, but you need more sleep.
So what would the Drew, who's had 3 kids, tell the Drew that was about to have their first kid?
I'd be like, just relax, man.
Don't be a fucking dumbass and get up all day.
Yeah. I put on some Bob Marley and I'd be like, everything's gonna be all right.
That's funny, cause like when I look back on, Jody and I were talking about this today. Like even with our third, it was like when we just had 2 kids, like life was so fucking easy.
Yeah. It is a whole nother element, like, because you come home and it's like, okay, well, we still got to get the 2 older kids dinner. We still got to make sure homework's done. We got to do all this other stuff. And then there's a baby that's going to like screw your sleepover. So it's like, how do you have you don't have time for yourself. That's, this podcast, carving out this podcast time. I mean, this is our 3rd try at it.
Yeah.
We've tried 3 times and it just hasn't worked on the other 2. So
Yeah.
just waiting for the baby to start screaming any minute.
Don't do it, baby. So I thought like when we had our 3rd kid, our level of like relaxation and chill was just like 10 times that of even our 2nd kid. Like I feel like even like the 1st to the 2nd, you like relax a little bit.
Yeah.
But the 3rd, it's like a whole new level.
Oh man. So like one of my favorite comedians is Jim Gaffigan. Have you ever listened to him before?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. There's this one skit because he's got like 5 kids or 6 kids, I can't remember. And he has this like skit where he's talking about like, by the time you get to your 3rd or 4th kid, you're like, he like talks about naming them after a sandwich. Like the 1st kid, you're named after your grandma. The 2nd kid, you're named after your aunt. You're named after the sandwich I ate. But then it's like, the kid starts coming and complaining to you, and you're like, why don't you just go smoke pot like your brother? It's like that. You would have thought, like, having 2 other kids, that you have all the shit that you need for babies. But, like, I quickly was re-educated by my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and stuff. There's just all these new fancy gadgets out there. And it's like, oh no, your monitor's not good enough. You need the video monitor that's HD, and, it can... it's got a drone that can fly over your baby while it's sleeping. It's like, dude, why do we need a new bassinet? Okay, speaking of bassinet, so we have this thing. It's fucking work of science. It's called the snoo, and it's a self-rocking bassinet. And so, like, you put the baby in there, you put it in the baby straitjacket, and it's got 2 flaps on it that you attach to either side of this bassinet, and then you hit a button, and it like rocks it side to side, and then if the baby starts getting really fussy, it like rocks it harder until it gets to the point where it's like, you guys need to really come check on your kid. But like the scientist or whatever is like, oh yeah, this is sworn you'll get more hours of sleep. And I'm like, do we need this thing? But it's super expensive to buy, and so but you can rent it by the month. And so
Did you rent it?
We're renting this crib by the month, and I'm like, can we get rid of this thing? It's like, no. We'll probably pay for the motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
By the time it's over,
Yeah.
because we like convince ourselves that this mechanical shaking is giving us more sleep in the middle of the night. So
Shaken baby syndrome.
oh my god, what like? Have you even heard of something like that? I mean,
No, but just like from my experience, so I can't remember how old Kelly was. She was probably 6. Well, I guess if I do the math, she was 6 when we had Carver.
yeah.
And I remember like how much the technology changed in those 6 years.
Yeah.
Like with Kinley, it was the baby monitor, like it was like sound only, and like we had like
Yeah.
little like remote. It was like a walkie-talkie basically.
Right.
Or like with Carver, it was like the full video app, and like it would like monitor his breathing, and like if he stopped, like if it saw something, we had like a couple false alarms where
Yeah.
like in the middle of the night, like our phone just started like going
He's
crazy.
not breathing. Oh, God. Yeah, the technology can backfire, but
Yeah. But then this is a perfect third child story. So we had that, and like we were like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And so like if he ever made sound or something, we'd look at our phone and see him. And then like that company got bought out by someone like a year into his life, and they stopped supporting that app, and so we didn't have that app anymore.
Yeah.
And we're just like, fuck it, he's alright. He doesn't need a baby monitor. So we never got another baby monitor.
That's funny. We've bought a bunch of shit that I thought I was like, especially 3 girls, you're like, we don't have to rebuy anything, right? No. We got the snoo.
Oh, you're falling for it. You got suckered.
Yeah, pretty much. You watch
You're
it.
too veteran to be suckered.
I know. But these like first time parents are like, oh, this was such a lifesaver for me, and we've waited 5 years, so it's like we've forgotten that all that stuff's just a bunch of money sink.
Yeah, a bunch of BS.
So I feel like I just gotta go right into it. I got a story.
Okay, let's hear it.
Between first time and third time kids. So I mentioned didn't drink a lot for the first 6 months because our first was pretty colicky. She did not sleep much through the night, and so because of that, both Meredith and I did not sleep a lot through the night, and so we didn't drink a lot until Meredith took our first back to Houston. We were living in California, and the buddies, which in California, everyone gets married later, they have kids later. So all of my coworkers were younger or the same age, but no kids, right? So they were all still living that bar life. And so like, hey, you want to go out? I was like, heck yeah. But I'd spent 6 months like losing my tolerance for alcohol, right? And so what did we do? We went straight to Benihana's, or my friend Kyle used to call Benihana's. And we started with sake bombs. So sake bombs at 5:30 p.m. So that's like, you can imagine.
Winning recipe.
Yeah, you know where this is going, right? So sake bombs at 5:30. Then we had another coworker that did homebrew, so we went to go taste his homebrew at his house. And then we walked to a couple bars, and we ended up to this place called Dan's that always had this like 80s band that would do cover stuff. And in my entire, I guess, experience at bars, I've never been kicked out of a bar except for that night. So, and it wasn't because I got in a fight or something like that.
Yeah, that's the question everyone is wondering. It's like, what the hell did you do
to get kicked out? I basically just couldn't handle my liquor is why I got kicked out.
Just like stumbling around and shit.
Well, I walked in and like the first thing one of my buddies was like, hey, the Oakland A's are playing. They just won. I'm buying a round of shots. So I remember the shots and I remember having a beer on the dance floor, and I've never had this happen to me before, but the pint glass.
You dropped it.
I did not drop the. I've had that happen multiple times. But I was holding the pint glass, and it cracked in my hand. Like the pint glass, like I was gripping it so hard that it broke.
Oh my god!
And I took a sip. That's the last memory that I have from that night.
So did you like cut your hand?
I don't think so, but like it broke, and then I thought it was funny, so I took a sip out of it with it broken. And then apparently I was like swaying back and forth in the bar, and I was kindly escorted outside. And Meredith came home and she's like so mad at me for like just being completely irresponsible. And I was just like, oh man, I just felt just god awful the next day. It's like, what did I do? Whereas now I go to a brewery, and the baby's not even a month old, and we're taking a flight at Great Heights. So that's to me that's the first, third spectrum there.
So, okay, so I have a question.
Yep.
Have you ever been kicked out of an alcohol serving? Have you ever been kicked out of a bar or restaurant with your kids?
I can't say that I have. Have you?
Yeah, so when we lived in Las Vegas, we were flying somewhere, and like in Vegas, like you just get used to this alcohol with you anywhere lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so like you forget what it's like when you go other places. So like we were on a connecting flight through some airport, and like we just like brought our kids in, and like we're drinking a beer somewhere, and they're like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you have to be 21 to be in here. And it's like, well, we just have like our 1.5-year-old, so it's fine.
Yeah.
They're like, You need to leave. It's like, that was like such a aha moment. Like we've just gotten used to like living in Vegas where
Yeah.
there are no rules about like stuff like that.
If you can take a pacifier, you can take a shot.
Yeah, if you can take a pacifier and take a shot, and you surely aren't getting kicked out of the bar because you have someone with you who has a pacifier.
Yeah.
I did think that was kind of weird though.
Do you think it was actually the management that was doing that, or do you think there was a patron that was giving? You know how there's those patrons that really hate kids.
Yeah.
Do you think that they were like, "Excuse me," like some Karen over there? So,
Yeah.
Can I see the manager? This guy's got a baby.
It's affecting my ability to drink my beer.
Fuck those guys.
Oh, fuck them.
I just felt like being at that brewery, getting that. I mean, it was Friday afternoon, so there weren't a ton of people there. But they had expanded. So many of those breweries have expanded their patios because of COVID. So like Great Heights has got the front patio, the back patio. Had it all open. Weather was nice, and we were drinking. And I was like, "This is straight freedom right here."
So I've never been to Great Heights.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it was always kind of small. But I was surprised that they had opened up a back patio and a front patio. I'm guessing since COVID, and it's nice. I mean, and honestly, like I didn't really have a beer that I didn't like there, so it was a good experience.
Yeah, I saw your ratings. It's making me.
Yeah, make you want to go.
Yeah.
You gotta get on the 610, bro.
I get on the 610. How does this one stack up to the others that you had there?
Honestly, I think that 610 was my favorite. It was the dankest, and I like a good dank.
Oh, yeah,
And so
for
like,
sure.
I felt like the 610 was my favorite. They also make one that they've been making for a while called Denali, and that one is really good. I think the Denali may slightly edge out Blue Tile, but this one's kind of like Art Car to me, where I feel like I could drink this one all night. Like I could just grab a 4-pack of this and just stick with it because it's that type of beer. So
Yeah, definitely very drinkable.
yeah, definitely a fan. It's the first podcast we've done where I came coordinated.
Did you buy that shirt
Well,
while you were there?
I asked for a bunch of shirts over Christmas, and so I got a Great Heights shirt over Christmas, and I didn't want to wear it to the actual brewery because then they'd think I was the fucking staff.
That's pathetic.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
like,
I'm a super fan.
I need another beer.
Maybe I could have gotten the 610 and a crowler if I'd been wearing this shirt though.
You should have just worn the shirt, walked your ass back there, and poured one.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you go take 5 restroom break. I got the bar.
What do you think? I would wear the brewery shirt to the brewery?
So I think next week I've been sitting on some beers that been dying to open up, and Adam, since he was doing the sabbatical on beer, he didn't want to jump right into the funky shit. But I think next week is the time. We got to jump into Martin House. We've got a full array of some weird ass beers by Martin House, and we're gonna take the taste test. So if you got a little tired of the family talk today, then it's all beer talk next week.
All beer talk. All right, see y'all next time.
When the fact that I know that he came to cover with blood injected my veins.